Okay, let's unpack one of the most classic dilemmas in the professional world.
hmm The big one.
Yeah, what truly makes an exceptional boss? When you think about it, is it someone who's strict, demanding, total order?
Or is it the other extreme? Someone easygoing, prioritizing kindness and maybe harmony above all else.
Exactly. It feels like you have to choose a camp.
And that's exactly the trap. The sources we dove into suggest that if you're framing the question as an either-or choice,
You've already missed the point.
you've already fallen short of the mark. A truly exceptional leader, the one who inspires real long-term high performance, is the one who masterfully finds that balance between the two.
It's about being firm on the goal, but flexible on the path to get there.
That's a great way to put it.
So it's this blueprint for how to grant your team the freedom they need to innovate while also maintaining enough order and direction to prevent, well, chaos.
Right.
And today we're conducting a deep dive into a really powerful guide, a blueprint outlining 9 core steps to becoming that effective, balanced boss.
And our mission for you, the learner, is not just to list these 9 principles. We're going to try and synthesize this, focusing not just on what leaders do, but the why behind it.
The mechanism.
The strategic mechanism, exactly. Why these specific actions, from self-reflection all the way to decisiveness, are the foundation for successful teams.
And the source material lays out a very clear path, which we've grouped into 3 thematic blocks to make it easier to get your head around. We're starting where all good leadership has to begin, internally, with the first principle, know yourself.
Self-awareness is, without a doubt, the crucial starting line. It dictates your whole approach to leading others.
Because you can't manage external chaos if you don't understand your own internal landscape.
You really can't. And the guide captures that feeling perfectly. It recalls a leader's experience on their first day as a boss, feeling that mix of being excited and feeling overwhelmed.
Oh, that feeling is universal. I think everyone's felt that. But the great leader uses it. It's a prompt for reflection, not a cue for panic.
Yes.
You have to consistently map your own internal landscape, your strengths, your weaknesses, and especially your stress points.
And this isn't some abstract self-help idea. The sources show it has immediate practical uses. Let's take that stress example.
Okay.
If you personally know that you get really stressed by short deadlines, the solution isn't to just, power through and yell at your team.
Which is probably the first instinct for a lot of people.
It is. The strategic response is to manage that worry proactively. Plan better, structure projects to avoid those bottlenecks, delegate work before the pressure cooker turns on.
You're shifting the load from your own internal panic to better external system design.
Exactly. And the sources give a powerful anecdote for this. They talk about a struggling team member who just wasn't meeting expectations. The leader's first instinct might have been frustration.
Or disciplinary action, yeah.
Right. But instead, they paused. They took a moment to reflect and realized that the way they were managing this situation was flawed.
So it wasn't just on the employee?
It wasn't. The leader realized their assumption that the team member just wasn't competent was wrong. By shifting their own approach, stepping back, and providing more targeted help and customized tools,
They turned around.
completely turn the performance around. And just as importantly, they strengthen the entire working relationship. The key lesson here is that regular self-reflection dramatically improves your decision-making and your adaptability.
So once that internal clarity is there, the leader has to project it outward. Which brings us to principle 2. Communicate clearly. It's not enough to be clear in your own head. You have to make sure that clarity is replicated in everyone else's.
And communication is so much more than just talking or, sending an email. It's about deep listening and constantly verifying that people actually understand.
It's the mechanism that keeps everyone on the same page.
And it actively cuts down on that confusion that leads to expensive mistakes or team friction.
I think we sometimes forget the strategic purpose of it all. According to the blueprint, clear communication has 3 main jobs. Sharing the vision so people know the destination.
Right, the why.
Setting specific goals so people know the route, and giving good feedback so people know if they're drifting off course.
The cost of failing here can be huge. We found this one example in the source where team members were in a project meeting talking at each other.
Oh, I've been in that meeting.
We all have. Each person had a totally different idea about the scope of the exact same job. They were using the same words, but meaning different things.
So what was the fix?
The leader had to pause the entire discussion, Not just talk louder, but stop everything and make sure everyone explicitly confirmed their understanding of their specific role, their task, their deliverable.
Only after that absolute clarity was achieved could they move forward.
And they finished the job successfully and on time. The takeaway for you is essential. Support open communication and active listening to mandate precise collaboration.
And that clarity naturally helps build the next pillar, which is principle 3. Build trust and respect.
This one feels so foundational.
It is. Trust and respect are like the currency of leadership. They have to be earned. They're not just given to you because of your job title.
That's so true. And think about the risk if you fail here. Without that underlying trust, team members just become risk-averse.
They won't speak up.
They won't share that wild, revolutionary idea. They won't feel safe taking a necessary risk, and they certainly won't call out a flaw in your plan.
And that fear just slows everything down for everyone.
It does.
But how does the blueprint say we earn this trust? Especially when things are changing all the time. What does consistency even look like in that environment?
Consistency means you deliver on your promises. You're reliable. You treat every single team member with respect, no matter their role. But crucially, you have to be radically open about your decisions.
Transparency.
That transparency in decision-making builds credibility faster than almost anything. You have to demonstrate honesty and integrity even when it's uncomfortable.
The source material had a really powerful story about this, right? About a colleague who was initially very skeptical of the leader.
Yeah, highly skeptical.
Yeah.
And that same colleague eventually became one of the most loyal and highest performing members on the team.
Why? What changed?
Because the leader consistently supported their work, publicly valued their input, and never took credit for their success. That consistency wasn't just a mood booster. It fostered a profoundly positive and loyal culture.
It made that employee feel secure enough to give their absolute best.
Exactly.
That sets us up perfectly for our second block of principles, which is all about the dynamics of action, how a leader interacts with the team's actual work. We start with principle 4, empower your team.
The blueprint is very clear on this. Strategically giving freedom improves outcomes. Full stop.
And it leads to higher motivation, better efficiency, more innovation.
And employees who are confident making smart choices on their own.
But empowerment is often misunderstood. It's not just, delegating tasks you don't want to do.
No, it's providing the tools, the support, and the genuine responsibility. You are strategically shifting that cognitive load from yourself to them.
So you're giving up control of how the job is done.
To gain more time to focus on the bigger picture, on strategy. The case study here involved encouraging a team member to take the lead on a major project.
And what happened?
Their success not only boosted their own self-esteem, but it brought fresh, innovative ideas into the whole team dynamic that the leader admitted they would have never considered.
So trusting your team is the direct path to both growth and innovation. And that empowerment then sets the stage for principle 5, be decisive.
Yes, because if you give freedom, but you can't make a choice when it matters, the whole system just grinds to a halt.
Indecision is like a powerful brake on any project.
It really is. Decisive leaders keep their teams in motion. The process here is about gathering sufficient information, not perfect information, considering the options, and then making a choice, even if it's tough.
But here's a really important nuance. Being decisive doesn't mean being stubborn.
Ah, that's a critical distinction. That's rashness, not decisiveness.
Right.
A truly decisive leader has to be intellectually humble enough to adjust that choice, maybe even radically, if new information comes to light. That ability to adjust is built right into the decision-making process.
And we see that in the sources scenario, don't we? The one with the critical project where the team was totally split.
Yeah, totally split. The leader stepped in and made a clear, firm decision on the path forward.
And even though not everyone agreed at first.
It kept the project on track and ultimately led to success. The key lesson is that confident decisions keep your team moving, but they have to be coupled with that readiness to pivot if the ground shifts.
And once you've made that tough choice, all eyes turn to you, which is why principle 6, lead by example, becomes so critical.
Actions speak louder than any memo you could ever write, every single time. Your visible actions and attitudes set the tone for everything. Dedication, professionalism, how you handle pressure.
The anecdote the sources use here is so effective. It describes a moment when the team was facing a nearly impossible deadline.
And the leader didn't just stand back and bark orders.
No, they didn't. They physically rolled up their sleeves and worked alongside them. They got in the trenches.
That action is contagious. It didn't just boost morale in the moment, it showed an undeniable, tangible commitment to the shared goals.
And that inspired the team to work harder and stay focused. Your actions, far more than your words, set the standard for your team's behavior.
So now we move into our final block of principles, which is all about the cycle of growth and maintaining the right environment. We start with Principle 7, provide feedback and recognition.
Feedback is the engine of continuous growth. Constructive feedback helps people see where they're strong and where they need to develop.
And praise is the fuel. It inspires the team to keep pushing through the hard work.
But the feedback has to be good. It has to be clear, valuable, genuinely helpful, not just, do better.
Right. And the blueprint also highlights that recognition has to be timed strategically. Giving praise at the right moment maximizes its impact.
It could be a formal thank you in a meeting
Or just a quick, friendly, great job on that right after they finish something. That immediacy matters.
The case study for this really illustrates the full cycle. After a tough job, the leader immediately thanked each team member for their hard work. That improved the mood and unity.
But they didn't stop there.
No, they followed up a little later by suggesting specific, actionable ways to improve the process for the next time.
And that combination is so powerful. Immediate recognition for the short-term mood, and then follow-up suggestions for long-term improvement. It shifts the focus from did we finish to how do we get better.
That desire to get better leads us right to Principle 8. Be adaptable. The world is defined by constant change. Flexibility isn't a bonus trait anymore. It's the core key to navigating uncertainty.
An adaptable leader is always keeping up with news, is open to new ideas, and is ready to pivot when the data demands it. But critically, they also have to help their team adjust to those changes without losing momentum.
Okay, but here's a potential paradox. We just said consistency is key to building trust. So isn't balancing radical adaptability with that consistency a bit of a leadership catch-22?
It can feel that way. The sources suggest that the leader's values have to stay consistent. Integrity, respect, honesty, but their tactics and style have to be flexible.
I see.
The example was a major company reorganization. Instead of letting panic set in, the leader kept an open mind and actively changed their personal leadership style. Maybe they shifted from being very hands-off to highly supportive to fit the new environment.
And that flexibility allowed the leader to help the team see the new structure not as a threat, but as a chance to grow.
Exactly. Supporting your team through those transitions is what maintains morale and productivity.
Which brings us to the final culminating step, Principle 9, foster a positive work environment.
This is really the strategic goal of all the other 8 principles working together in harmony.
A supportive and positive atmosphere isn't just nice to have. It's vital for happiness, productivity, and success because it lowers all that internal friction.
And the hallmarks of this kind of environment are things like open communication, mutual respect, real opportunities for growth, and crucially, a prompt and fair conflict resolution system.
If you let conflict fester, everything else just falls apart.
It collapses. The scenario here shows the leader taking proactive steps. They didn't just wait for things to go wrong.
What did they do?
They put in place regular team-building activities and a clear, well-publicized open-door policy. That immediately improved collaboration.
So issues didn't get left to simmer.
And when conflicts did come up, they were addressed promptly and fairly. This active intervention is what keeps the workplace healthy and ensures collaboration is the default state.
That was an incredible journey. We just moved through a whole leadership development course in one deep dive.
We did.
We started with that internal foundation. Know yourself. Moved through the dynamics of leading, like empowerment and decisiveness, and finished by talking about how to maintain a culture of growth.
And this blueprint is just such a critical reminder that being a great boss is a manageable skill set. It is not some innate talent you're born with.
That's achievable.
It's achievable through consistent practice of these principles.
So, after synthesizing all of this, what's the final insight we should leave the learner with? What's the biggest tension in actually trying to apply all this?
I think if we connect 2 of the most demanding principles, we find a really fascinating challenge that leaders face every single day.
Okay.
The blueprint emphasizes that trust is earned through transparency and consistency, that's principle 3, but it also requires a leader to be decisive and adjust their choices quickly when new information comes in, which is principle 5.
That tension. Transparency versus the need for a rapid course correction. That's where the rubber meets the road.
It is. So here's the thought to turn over. If empowering your team means trusting their choices and giving them ownership, how does a leader carefully balance the necessary act of adjusting a decision midstream with that commitment to transparency?
How do you make sure that change doesn't accidentally erode the very trust and ownership you work so hard to build?
Exactly. That's something to keep thinking about and applying to your own challenges.
That is a fantastic challenge to chew on as you leave this deep dive. Thanks for joining us for this essential look into exceptional leadership. Remember, applying this knowledge and navigating those tensions is the next critical step in your journey to being truly well-informed. We'll catch you next time.